Hello, everyone. Well, we all want to lose extra 5 pounds, but for people who are obese, how do they embark on a weight loss journey? That is the topic of discussion today with Dr. Shelley. Dr. Shelley is a physician, MD, focusing on obesity and family medicine. Thank you so much for joining me, Dr. Shelley.
Thank you. It's such an honor to be here to kind of talk about how people can get back on track with their weight loss. I personally have lost 80 pounds, and I've regained the weight and lost the weight again. So I totally understand how it is when you're like trying to get back on and you're just feeling really discouraged and just feeling having that sense of shame. So I'm so happy to kind of help people with getting past that and be able to get to their optimal healthy self.
What? That's amazing. I mean, I didn't know that you had lost 80 pounds and gone back and forth like a yo-yo. So this is a great example. So let's just talk about, you talk about 5 secrets, right? And let's just go through that journey of what you feel, and then also references to your personal journey.
Yeah. So a lot of times, especially when you have lost weight, regained some of it back, and then are trying to, lose it again, it can be very discouraging. There's a lot of shame. There's a lot of doubt that can you do it again? And so I would say the first secret to getting back on track with your weight loss, number one, is to stay positive. A lot of times we think of the last diet that we did and how it was not successful, or we may have been able to be successful with the diet, but then we gained the weight back and we've gotten discouraged. And so what I found even in my own journey, that if I stay positive, if I have a positive outlook on it, it helps me to keep going. Now, you may say, well, how do you stay positive, right? How do you have that mindset? Well, number one, I use power thoughts. So I use, which power thoughts are basically affirming thoughts that kind of help you be able to, stay encouraged, stay positive when that negative thought comes through. So the one that I kind of like to use for myself is, you can do this and you can do hard things. I remind myself that even if I, don't feel like going exercising, don't feel like eating, the healthy thing, I can do hard things. I can push through this, and it helps me to kind of get through that particular period. Another reason that helps with staying positive is kind of knowing why you're doing it, making sure that it's a strong why. Now, a good example of this is I had one of my patients, she came in for a consultation, and I asked her, hey, why are you here? Like, what is it that motivates you to lose weight? And she instantly said, oh, my doctor sent me here. And I'm like, okay, well, I'm glad that you're here. Let's talk about what we can do. And in the conversation, we brought up the fact that she was drinking a lot of sodas. And so I said, well, one thing we can do is maybe cut back on the sodas. And she shut me down. She's like, nope, not doing it. Not cutting back on the sodas, not at all. And, I felt, then we went on with the conversation. But at the end, it ended up she never came back. She never was able to lose weight because her why wasn't strong enough. And so a good why, or a good reason, when you have a good reason for why you're losing weight, when somebody asks you to do something as simple as cut back on your sodas or exercise 30 minutes a day, you don't shut them down because this is why you're doing it. And so I had another patient who was told that in order to get her knee replacement, she had to lose 40 pounds. And even though she had back pain, she had knee pain, she was like, I'm exercising an hour a day in the chair, doing chair exercises. And after about 9 months, she lost not only the 40 pounds, but 56 pounds. So having that strong why is important. And then next is just trying to stay positive, even when you don't feel like it. So that's secret number one. Secret number two is having realistic goals. So a lot of times when we have our, we're starting a weight loss journey or a certain diet, we have a lot of unrealistic goals. We're just like, okay, I'm going to exercise 2 hours a day. I'm going to, eat all these different healthy foods. And it can be overwhelming, especially if we haven't been doing this to start. So, seeing how, and a lot of times we're busy, we have responsibilities, we're at work, We're at, we have at home, we have our children, we have our families to take care of. We may be caring for our elderly parents. And so our schedules may not be as open as it was when we were younger. And so by having realistic goals, maybe focusing on one healthy implementation and just nailing that, and then starting another healthy habit may be the way to go, especially if you have a pretty busy lifestyle. So that would be secret number 2. So secret number 3 is just get started. Start with the exercise, start with the eating healthy, choose one thing that you can start to do and then go with that. A lot of times, like I mentioned, because we have unrealistic goals, we want to do everything and we just may not have that time. So what you can do is start slow and gradually build your way up. You don't have to do an hour, 7 days out the week of exercise, but you can start maybe with 30 minutes, 3 days out the week, and then each week increasing it and being realistic with what time you have. A lot of people maybe have 1 or 2 or 3 jobs that they're having to do, and it's sometimes overwhelming to kind of exercise. And so by at least having certain realistic goals, it makes it easier. And then the secret number 3 is just to start. Now, the one thing you mentioned too is about sugar addiction. And so secret number 4 is choosing more quality foods over quantity foods. And so when we look at the quality of foods, it means a lot. Because a lot of times if we looked at an apple, which is a real food, processed food, but they take that same apple, they make applesauce. They take that same applesauce, they can make an apple pie. And the apple, which was very healthy, has now been more processed. And so what studies have shown is that when you eat less processed foods, more healthier foods, it helps. Also, when you think of sugar addiction, when you think of, a lot of times we don't realize it, but when we're eating a lot of processed sugars, our body gets used to it. And so it makes it hard to kind of break. And what we find is that you're craving all these different processed foods. Now, you may be asking me, what's a processed food? A good example of that is like your cookies, your donuts, gummy bears, candies. Sometimes these are extremely processed when you think of where they were to start with. And so a lot of times with breaking that sugar addiction is by, number 1, changing the type of foods that you eat. Instead of eating more simple carbs or simple sugars, like your donuts and your cookies, you eat more complex carbs, like your fruit, which is a complex carb, but it's still sweet. Watermelon tastes great, doesn't it? So by your body being more used to that particular sugar, it makes it, you will find that when you go back to eating that more processed sugar, that donut, you're like, oh, this is too sweet. I'm not used to this. Is too much sugar in here. So your body will change as it gets used to a more of a complex carb or more complex sugar. And so that's secret number 4. So choosing more quality foods over quantity. And then secret number 5 is stay consistent and have fun. The biggest thing with weight loss journey is that people quit too early. A lot of times what happens is that you get discouraged because in your mind, you thought you were going to lose 20 pounds the first month and you may have lost 10. And because you didn't hit that goal, you're like, well, this is not working. When in actuality, you just needed to give it more time. When we think of weight loss is not very linear. So it's not like a curve where it's just, you just keep losing every single week. But in actuality, when you lose weight, you may lose a couple pounds the first week, gain a pound the second week, then lose 4 pounds the third week, and then maybe plateau, you're the same weight the 5th week. And it doesn't mean that it didn't work. It's just that the way our body is, it's not just you're losing every week. And so a lot of times people get discouraged when they don't see it. I remember I had one client and I was asking her about her past weight loss journey. And she's like, oh, I did this, but I stopped. And I'm like, oh, well, why did you stop? And she's like, oh, well, I didn't see a difference. Well, I was like, well, how long did you do it for? Oh, 1 month. And I was like, well, that's not enough time. When I see people who are more consistent with their weight loss and they're continuing those healthy habits, regardless of kind of where their weight is, they actually lose more at the end. I remember I saw one lady We didn't do any medications for her. She just changed how she ate. And she actually gave herself self-compassion. You know, she ate a little bit more one day. She didn't beat herself up about it. And when she came back after 3 months, she had lost 30 pounds. I'm like, oh my gosh, she lost 30 pounds. And I didn't mention she was 70. so it's a little bit harder to lose weight, you know, when you get older. And I asked her, what was it? She's like, well, you know what? I just stuck to the goals. I stuck to the healthy habits. And then I just was consistent. So being consistent is the key. And then also sticking to it, because you may be surprised with the weight that you lose when you continue to keep going. So those would be the 5 secrets. Stay positive, have realistic goals, start exercising and eating healthy habits, choosing quality foods over quantity, and stay consistent and have fun.
I think that's amazing. I just have to ask you one question. You said you lost 80 pounds. That's incredible. How much time did it take you to lose that weight? And then you said you gained back some of it. So just talk to us a little bit about the process and what a typical meal looked like for you in one day.
Yeah, so a lot of times, so for me to lose that 80 pounds, it actually took years. It wasn't something that I lost it like this. It was kind of implementing the healthy habits. And what I do is I kind of focus on 5 to 10 pounds at a time. And I work on that. I work on making sure that I have my exercise, making sure that I have my diet correct. You know, I struggle just like some people. You know, you have those cravings where you want, I want fries, or I want this, and trying to get to that healthy habit. I was a meat eater for a long time, and then I decided to transition into more of a plant-based diet, and I saw that really helped me a lot. I felt like I had more energy, I was able to keep going, and I just felt good. But sometimes that plant-based diet is difficult for me. And so I tended to go back to the meat and come back. And so eventually, as I kept kind of yo-yoing, eventually I was able to stick with a vegetarian diet. So, but it took years. It wasn't something that I was able to accomplish in a short period of time. In fact, you don't necessarily want to lose weight in a short period of time. Like, let's say you lost 80 pounds in 4 months' time. The reason being is that when you go back to your old habits, your body will eventually gain that weight back. And so you see a lot of people who do that yo-yo diet where, for example, they'll do the lemonade diet and they won't eat anything and they'll lose so much weight. But when they start putting that food back in, the weight comes back. So you do want to lose at least 1 to 2 pounds per week. And even there will be some weeks where you don't lose any pounds, but just keep going, because what happens is your body adjusts. What science has noticed is that when you lose weight, your body wants you to go back to that old weight. It wants to be at that set point. It was very happy at that heavier weight. And so what it does is it decreases your metabolism and increases your hunger hormone, so you eat a little bit more. So a lot of times it makes it even harder to kind of break through. But if you keep going, keep being consistent, what you'll find, you'll be able to break through that plateau. You may have to change up what you're eating. You may have to change up a little bit as far as your exercise, but you'll be able to break through that plateau. Mm-hmm.
Wow, that's amazing. So what do you eat in a typical day now to keep yourself so fit?
Yeah. So I like to do plant-based during the week. And then on the weekend, I do vegetarian or vegan during the week. And then I do vegetarian on the weekends. So for breakfast, I usually have like a piece of fruit with a plant-based yogurt with granola. So I try to get a little bit of protein there. And then for lunch, I'll usually have like a nice salad with garbanzo beans. I like a little bit of sweetness, so I put some mandarin oranges, craisins, cranberries, so to kind of give it a little bit of color and a little bit of the garbanzo beans have like the protein in it. So that's usually for my lunch. And then for my dinner, I'll usually have something plant-based. So I have a vegetable, either like some beans or protein, and then a little bit of a starch. So I may have a little bit of rice, or I may have couscous, depending on what my mood is. So you kind of make it that way during the week. And then on the weekend, I'll allow myself a little bit of dairy.
And no meat, absolutely no meat, right?
Yeah, no meat, no meat. It's so funny. Been a year. I've been 1 year without meat. So, but yeah, I mean, it that works for me. I feel good with it. So as long as I'm feeling good, I'll keep going.
Wow, I think a very inspiring and it's inspiring story for a lot of people, who are thinking of embarking on this journey of weight loss. And we know that the research talks about obesity is associated with so many other chronic conditions. We don't want to go there, but the whole idea today was a quick 10-15 minute session on what is it that you can do. To your point, positive mindset, and 5 points that you talked about are the key for us to start on the journey. Right? Anything else you want to add before I wrap up this evening session?
Oh, yes. I would just say, stay encouraged. You can do this. You probably have done this before. You've lost weight before, so you can do this. But stay encouraged and know that you can do this, and just start. A lot of times it's just planning in your schedule what you're going to do, and then just do it. Just do it.
Well, thank you so much for all this inspiration. Everyone else, keep supporting us. We are bringing this 10-minute of wellness tips every single day to keep you motivated and embrace the holistic lifestyle. Have a good evening, everyone, and happy Friday for tomorrow. Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Shelley. Bye-bye.
You're welcome.